Mr. President, I rise today to speak about the nominee for Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos. I'm here not only to reiterate my concerns with Ms. DeVos, but to share some of the letters and emails I have received from Hoosiers about her nomination. Every Hoosier and every American deserves access to a quality education. It prepares our students to enter the workforce, to secure good-paying jobs, and to succeed. As I have said, after reviewing the record of Ms. DeVos, I believe she lacks the commitment to public education needed to effectively lead the Department of Education. I am deeply concerned she will not focus on priorities important to Hoosier families: expanding access to early childhood education, improving our public schools, and addressing increasing student loan debt. Now I want to share some of the concerns I have heard from people all across Indiana about Betsy DeVos. A current undergraduate student at Purdue wrote to me urging me to vote against Betsy DeVos. The student wrote as follows: "I'm concerned she will cause major damage not only to our public K-12 schools, of which I graduated from, but also to federal student aid programs, which allow many of my fellow students and I to attend our nation's fantastic public universities." The mother of 3 children in Fishers wrote, "I believe our democracy needs well-funded and accountable public schools for all." Ms. DeVos demonstrates little interest in supporting strong public education. For the future of our children, our democracy, and our standing in the global economic system, I ask you vote against Ms. DeVos. A soon-to-be college graduate who is pursuing a career in public education wrote, "I will be graduating from Indiana Wesleyan University in Marion. I have spent the past semester student teaching at a local school district in Gas City, Indiana. One of the largest reasons I wanted to embrace a career in public education is to push students to see their potential, just as I had a teacher do the same for me. Teaching is not simply facilitating learning, but rather it is taking the time to fully invest in our students, getting to know our students, listening to what they have to say, and using the resources presented to best prepare them to succeed. I've been able to see this firsthand and put this into practice as I have been in 3 different school districts throughout my time at Indiana Wesleyan. As a soon-to-be teacher in the state of Indiana, I ask you to consider voting no on the nomination of Betsy DeVos for Secretary of Education. I chose this path as it directly impacted me, and I want to see students find success. With the right reform, we can see this happen. But with the suggested reforms by Betsy DeVos, we will not be able to help students succeed. Here's another story, this one from Muncie. As a mother and public education advocate, I'm writing to request you vote no on the appointment of Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education. As you are aware, there are many challenges facing education in the United States. Ms. DeVos' track record in the state of Michigan would be devastating to the country as a whole if she were to be given the position of Secretary of Education. For the sake of my children, their dedicated teachers, and children across the nation, I respectfully request your no vote to her appointment. A woman in Zionsville wrote as follows: "I feel the DeVos agenda plans a dangerous voucher program that robs public schools of money and allows unprecedented support of K-12 programs with opaque standards, curriculum, and accountability. In Indiana, we have struggled with the skills gap in graduating students that are prepared for the available workforce positions. I beg you to speak out against the appointment of Ms. DeVos as Secretary of Education." Hoosiers have the right to an educational system that strives for high standards, for transparency, for success. I don't believe the DeVos model will be able to deliver on any of those fronts. A retired special education teacher who taught in Mishawaka for 24 years, wrote, "I implore you to vote no on the confirmation of Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education. Her selection by Donald Trump was clearly an attempt to further dismantle the public school system in the United States. The poor, the disadvantaged, the disabled, working families would suffer great educational setbacks with her as Secretary of Education." A woman in West Lafayette wrote, "As a future special education teacher, I find it horrifying that Ms. DeVos seems to be unaware of the IDEA Act, which protects the rights of millions of children with disabilities. It is completely unacceptable that our country should have someone in charge of education who is unaware of this monumental law. Education is so important for the future of this country, and everyone deserves equal opportunity to get a good education. This is why I ask you to please vote no on Ms. DeVos." In a letter from Greenwood, a woman wrote, "As a mother of 2 children, one with severe disabilities, please know I don't support Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education. I can only hope you will bear with me as I offer the story of my son below. My son was born full-term and healthy. From 18 hours until 2 weeks old, he fought for his life. At 2 weeks old, a heart defect was discovered. Next was heart surgery, recovery, and he was home at exactly 1 month old. Saying we were ill-prepared for the future would be an understatement, to say the least. We had no way of knowing the repair to his heart would not also repair all the damage done to his brain and his body. He was eventually gifted multiple diagnoses: cerebral palsy, congenital heart disease, significant mental and physical disabilities, and severe GERD. To match the diagnoses, he was also provided coordinating medical equipment, wheelchair, communication device, standing equipment, a special seating device, feeding pump, and leg braces. Skip ahead to today, and you'll discover a 15-year-old doing his absolute best to find his place in this quick-paced world. It took a long time, but over the past 3 to 4 years, he mastered his communication device and has shown he is capable of learning and understanding. While it took all this time for him to show us, it also took the relentless dedication of very, very special teachers to really make it happen. His teachers worked tirelessly to develop extremely specific, individualized education plans for him. I'm certain without the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and free, appropriate public education, he would not have achieved his current level of learning. I also feel his teachers would not have been able to get him to this level without the right educational tools in our public schools. I wanted you to feel my emotions and how difficult his life truly is. Please don't make his education any harder than it already has been. A former public school teacher in Indianapolis wrote, I watched all of Betsy DeVos's Senate confirmation hearing. As the minutes turned by, fear, fury, and grief built within me. I will not sit back and watch as a nominee for Secretary of Education prepares to take the helm who does not commit to protecting children in public schools. I hope you stand with me to reject Betsy DeVos for Secretary of Education. We must commit our care, our love, and our attention to upholding the promise that all kids deserve a shot at success through education. These kids are our future, and we owe it to them to lead wisely. Unfortunately, Ms. DeVos will not lead us to that future. A mom in Evansville wrote, "I have one child in college and 2 others in public elementary schools. My children have received and are getting a very good education in public school and are in advanced classes. I am very concerned about the appointment of a woman who has been advocating against our public schools for years. We must do better for our children. Please fight for our public schools and our children, and do everything in your power to keep Betsy DeVos from becoming our Secretary of Education." This is just a small sampling of the letters and emails I've received from Hoosiers all over our state who are deeply troubled and who are opposed to Betsy DeVos. They wrote to me not as Republicans or as Democrats or independents, but as concerned Hoosiers, as moms and dads who love their kids. And they are worried about an issue we should all be able to agree on: the importance of ensuring our children have the access to a quality education. While I've said I will vote against Betsy DeVos' nomination, I will continue to fight for our public schools, our teachers, our students. I'll continue fighting for them because ensuring our students have access to good schools and good teachers lays a foundation for our students to reach their potential, and the potential that is fundamental to their success, and in turn, our country's success. We love our schools, we love our kids, and all we want is the best for them and an extraordinary education. That's why I will be voting against Betsy DeVos.